Coronavirus COVID-19 is exploding on planet Earth. It's right now on every continent. Yes, 90,000 plus cases, mainly in China / worldwide, but mainly in China. 3,000 plus deaths. And what complicates things even worse is the mystery surrounding COVID-19 or the coronavirus. The mystery, the unknowns with the spread, the unknowns with the virus. There's no cure at the moment, and the world is in panic mode. The economy, world economy, there are projections of the great effect that the world is going to affect the world economy, and it's just not looking good. But to unravel the coronavirus, to understand and to unlock the mysteries of the virus, is not to look to the experts or the scientists or the media. Is to look to God, the true and living God. Is to look to Jesus Christ. Is to look to the Bible, the Word of God, and is to look to the people of God, the church, the child of God, who prophesied these things to come. We can boldly say to you, this very virus was prophesied in our church. This very virus, this very pestilence was prophesied in our church. You can check it for yourself. The very effect of things upon the main, where the epicenter of this virus break forth, which is China. God prophesied that these things will come upon China. In order to unlock this coronavirus mystery, as I said earlier, you got to look to the Bible. You got to look to the Word of God. Prior to this virus breaking forth, this very nation, this very country of China, greatly persecuted the church, greatly persecuted the believers, greatly oppressed the believers and persecute and did some very horrible things right in the presence of the whole world. And I can tell you, there was no alarm from the countries of the world concerning what China was doing. And now you understand why this virus is not only affecting China, it's affecting the world, because the world witness and watch on while China plunder God's houses, plunder the churches. Yes, they were bulldozering the churches, removing the cross, paying over paying 1,500 US to Chinese citizens to snitch out Christians. You even have one Chinese official make a public statement, and I quote, said, "One more Christian, one less Chinese." And they have shown forth their arrogance in trying to overthrow the church. When God said, "Upon this rock I build the church, and the gates of hell cannot prevail against it." Burning Bibles and forcing Christians that they have to sign and renounce their faith, or they will lose certain welfare benefits, or go to prison, or go to jail, or yes, and the heavy persecution of the church. And one way to understand the link between the persecution of the Chinese government, or the President Xi, who even set up himself like a god, in the churches where there were 10 commandments from the Bible, they replace it with quotes from President Xi. They put President Xi pictures in the places of worship and the houses of worship in God's house, and a lot of evil and persecution. They even have the credit social system where those who are Christians, the moment you're on that list, you are deprived of certain basic and civil amenities. Heavy persecution of the churches. The churches had to go underground. They have to remain underground. Underground churches hide to worship God. They are silenced. And but we see in the midst of this persecution, God sent judgment. Just like in the Bible days when Pharaoh persecuted and oppressed Israel, which was the Old Testament church, which was God's people. And as a result of Pharaoh's oppression, of God's people. God sent 12 plagues upon Egypt that will force them to let God's people go. Well, President Zai is a type of Pharaoh. And even right now in this modern world, there are many different types of pharaohs that are persecuting God's house. And God is using this prime pharaoh in the east, China, as a sign of judgment to the rest of pharaohs that is around the globe that continue to oppress the church, continue to oppress God's people, killing and persecuting. And we see God's response to the persecution of this major virus or plague upon China and the rest of the world. We see even a connection of what was done to the church. The church had to go on the doors to the gospel. A matter of fact, was in China is closed. The doors to spread the gospel closed. And we see right as this corona broke out, what happened? The world closes its door on China. Can you make that connection? The world closes its door on China? Yes. Right in the coronavirus. Yes, the world closes its doors on China, just like how China closes its doors on the gospel, on the word of God. God reciprocated. We see it. Not only that, just like how the churches had to go on the ground. Yes, because of the persecution, we see right now as the coronavirus explode exponentially and spread, even the very president had to go on the ground, hidden, just barely show at a public appearance almost a month ago. But as the virus intensified, the very president had to go on the ground, just like how they send the church on the ground. You got to make the connection. Not only that, the little appearance he made publicly, he had to wear a face mask, right? Like a gag over his mouth. Silence. That's a sign. There's the same way they tried to silence the believers. Now he's silent. He had to wear a gag or a face mask and speak through it. Can't speak freely. Yes, just like how they tried to suppress the voice of the church. His voice got suppressed. Folks, you can't be, don't be so simple. You got to connect these things. And just as their persecution intensified, this virus is a rebuke to the Chinese government for oppressing the church, is a rebuke to the world for turning a blind eye to China's oppression and persecution of the church. Yes, it's a rebuke, and God is saying, just like how God revealed it in church yesterday. You want to understand mystery, you got to come to the house of God. You got to come to church. Yesterday it was revealed. The Pharaoh, let my people go. Let God's people go. You want to stop this plague? You want to stop the spread of this virus? You want to stop the plague? Let God's people go. And I can let you, just like how Pharaoh's heart was hardened. It's the same way these were leaders who are anti-Christ, anti-church, anti-Bible, anti the true and living God. Is the more their heart is going to be hardened, and is the more the plagues and the virus is going to intensify, because they refuse to let go God's people. They refuse to give God's people freedom. Right now, China, there is no freedom. There's lockdown everywhere. They restrict the freedom of God's people. Now the very folks who are citizens of that country are restricted. They are on lockdown. More than 60% of the population are on lockdown, just the same way they try to lock down God's church, lock down the gospel. You see the connection. And God is saying, let my people go. Let my people go. Very powerful word to China and to the rest of the world who have followed suit to persecute the believers. Let me tell you, the plagues are coming. More plagues, more viruses are coming. China is not only dealing with corona, they are dealing with, even right now, biblical locust plague, where They even release 100,000 ducks to eat billions of locusts. The locusts have reached the shores of China. Not only there's coronavirus, not only there's locust plague, there's also pig Ebola, there's also swine flu, there's also bird flu, more than one strain of bird flu. Some really horrible plagues is upon this country, and the root of it is their constant persecution of the churches, persecution of believers. And we see where God reciprocate the action by sending the judgments. The very place that you see this pestilence break out from, God reveal it. Of a pestilence coming from food in Asia, God revealed it. God revealed it, and he's saying, let my people go. The Bible says, who is the wise man? Understand this. He said, to whom have the mouth of the Lord spoken? God has spoke to us. And he said, Pharaoh, President Zai, Pharaoh Zai. God said, let my people go. Governments of the world who should have taken action and make an outcry to the bulldozer of the churches. God said, let my people go. And God said, let my people go. Find the cure, find the vaccine. But the more you oppress, is the more God's going to send the plague. Stay tuned as we continue to give you more details, unlocking the mysteries of these plagues that is upon the earth. Can't miss. Can't miss. It's just like Bible times. I was speaking to one servant of God. She said, you don't see, just like how the Bible said, the streets are empty. Wow. Yes. Can we see that? Not only the streets are empty, the shelves are empty. Yes. A lot of things. Folks, come under the blood. Turn your life to Jesus and come under Jesus Christ. Blood covering. Come to church and surrender your life to Jesus Christ before it's too late. God is saying something. He's not only speaking to China. He's speaking to the whole world. And he's saying, let my people go. Pharaoh!